Dave.
Apex Adjacent, automotive podcast. Ian, I've been enjoying watching your favorite television show.
Oh, well. Yes, Taskmaster, right?
Yes, the UK version of Taskmaster.
I've been on this Taskmaster train for a while now. Probably 4 or 5 years. I've been like, Taskmaster's the best show on television. And this year, your favorite comedian's on it.
Yes, Jason Mantzoukas, who I love. Like, he could read a phone book and I would pee my pants crying laughing.
Yes.
Easily
absolutely.
One of the funniest human beings to ever exist, in my opinion. Bucket list guest on the show, along with Heather Ann Campbell and John Daly. Like, if we could ever have those people on the show, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't want you to get too enthusiastic here, because if he wasn't on it, I probably wouldn't be watching it.
I know.
But I see the draw. Mm-hmm. And I had a thought this weekend that kind of dovetails into Cars. So I figured I wanted to give you a little pre-birthday present, because your birthday's coming up in a little bit. Yeah. That I'm the one bringing Taskmaster to the show and loosely tying in Cars.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. So this will be spoilers for episode 5 of this series, which I think is 19, correct? This is series 19 of Taskmaster.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't. Yes.
Yeah, and episode 5 just aired. So if you plan on watching it, you may just want to skip forward like 10, 15 minutes, right? So at the end of of episode 5, Matthew, one of the contestants on the show, who is just a darling individual, who's just the sweet, wholesome boy, right? Yes. The man-child. Like, and I do appreciate how they assemble these personalities, because everyone brings very distinct things to the table. Fatia is quite possibly Ian in a hijab, right?
I love that, like, you see that lineup and you think, well, Jason Mantzoukas is definitely going to be the agent of chaos there. And it's really not. It's Fatia, because she is just so angry all of the time.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. And also, I love the fact that they showed the first task that they had ever recorded, and the very first thing that Mantzoukas ever did being on the show was just chuck a water bottle, unspoken, at Alex. Yeah. Unprompted. Yeah. So bold opening move, Zooks. But at the end of the episode, something interesting happened, and it made me think about what your kids thought about the episode if they've watched it. So do your children watch the adult Taskmaster with you?
They do. They have not yet seen this season.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that you're going to need to get back to me on how they react to what Matthew did at the end of the show for Stevie.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yes. So go ahead and tell folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So the task.
This is the spoiler alert part. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're on like the stage. So they're doing the like in studio portion of the show. And at the end of the episode, they always do like a live task up on the stage. And because the rest of the show is like pre-taped or whatever, and then they just react to the taped bits. So at the end, they're doing the task up on the stage. And what was it was when you hear phonetically the color that matches the balloon in front of you, you pop that balloon.
Correct.
And Greg was like reading a story.
Yes.
And so I can't remember exactly how it went down, how she screwed it up. I think she slipped or something, and she had done it correctly, but then accidentally clipped another one. And so Matthew, to like fall of the sword, like popped his own extra balloon.
Yeah, they were the last two left, and Stevie was having a horrible show. Yes, this was like a rough week for Stevie Martin.
It was.
And Matthew seems to be a very empathetic individual.
He's a very sweet man, yes.
And he popped his balloon, so they were the last two contestants.
So they would lose at the same time.
Well, no, she won that task.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because she just did it slower or something. I don't know.
No, he just was like, out of nowhere, he had 2 balloons left. She had maybe 1 or 2. And he just popped his because you lost if you popped yours out away from when they said. Ian, this is your favorite show. How am I telling you more about this?
I remember that it was like a self-sacrifice moment. I just didn't remember the particulars of how it went down. Because it was like, I mean, I watched it 72 hours ago. You can't expect me to remember.
But I think it was really interesting from a competitiveness and sportsmanship standpoint, right? And I think that I reflected on when we had Joel on the show, our Lemon's teammate, and where he was talking about kind of like the competitiveness that he had in rugby and kind of moving that over into the automotive arena. And so I wanted to talk to you about maybe things that you felt like were formative in how you view sportsmanship and how you view competitiveness when it comes to like your automotive pursuits.
Yeah, so I think my thing is that I think my friends and family would say that I'm a very competitive person.
Okay.
But I think that it's more I'm extremely competitive with myself.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I can be very self-critical, but that also keeps me like, it's a motivation, right? Like it gets me to improve and do all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't really, I don't have a problem like being sportsmanlike and like, being giving to other people. Because
and you're never a sore loser. Yeah.
Right. Because in my head, I'm not really competing with them. I'm competing with myself.
Okay.
And like when I get upset, I'm upset because I didn't do well.
Like, okay.
How I thought.
Like when you knew that you could do better. It's not that you're asking for unrealistic things about yourself. I think I would say like hyper realistic about your abilities, almost to a fault. Right. And well, I think you underestimate yourself is the thing. But
but yeah, I think that's where my competitiveness comes from. It's like I'm very self-critical and I'm being competitive with myself.
Right. And it's not that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Well, who are we doing it against?
Right. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't have to have opposition in order to be engaged from a sportsman or competitive level because it is you competing with yourself. That's a great insight, Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I do have specific memories of being very, very angry at other people during a competition. And I will just really quick story. Okay. The time that I was the most angry at another person. So there was this guy I was in the military with. His name was Attila. He was our Kramer.
Okay. The Charlie of the group.
The Kramer of the group. Because he was like unemployed for like a long stretch of time.
Okay.
And like we didn't understand how he was surviving, sort of thing. Attila, at one point, we found out years into knowing him that he had spent like a month in a German jail. I mean, just like all sorts, like it was one of those things where you would learn something about him every time. Anyway, after we were out of the military, we still kind of lived around each other and we still hung out. And we had a group of guys we played Risk with. Oh, okay. And he knew that I was quite competitive. And Risk is a game that really brings it out too.
It's brought out a really bad element of me too. I do not play that game. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I still love it. I play with the kids and stuff.
Sure.
It's great. But also, yes, it just doesn't bring out the best in me always.
Yeah.
And he spent one game just not even forming alliances against me, just fucking with me. Just whatever would result in a bad outcome for me. It didn't matter if it was bad for him.
Sure.
That's all he did all game. Just fucking with me all game. And I got so angry. So angry. I'm not proud of it. I got so mad.
Oh, that it's good that we can self-reflect on those kinds of moments because I absolutely have a Risk moment that I was not proud of as well. When an alliance was broken and I threw a little tantrum. I threw a 6'4" ginger tantrum. Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I was an asshole,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I get that. So having had that reaction in the past,
Mhm.
like this is something that you're honest with yourself about. Like you're like, oh, like I recognize that like that I didn't like what I did in that moment. Right. You know, and kind of using those things as guardrails for how, you know, your sportsmanship and your competitiveness, like how you hold them dear, right? You know, like how you, I don't know, like how you interact with them and how you use them and things like that, you know?
I will say this dovetails extremely well into the Formula One thing that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So if you're ready, if you're okay, ready to move on to the next to that topic, it's about this very topic.
Okay. I mean, I had a formative sportsman memory, you know,
please
with
share.
a friend, but then I definitely want to dovetail into yours.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
This is gonna be perfect.
Okay. So I think that I was just talking to PETA about this a little bit ago. We were kind of like talking about sportsmanship and competitiveness. And I can't remember if I told you this or not, but so stop me if I had. So back when I lived in Missouri, I used to hang out with a friend of mine and we played tennis all the time. He was an incredible tennis player. Like one of those people that is truly just a natural, right?
Right.
And he would walk me. Like I played tons of tennis growing up. I think I have a knack for racket sports. Like I'm not insanely good, but I think I took to them very well, right? And he would wax me set after set all the time when we would play, right? And I remember one time, like I loved playing against him because he was like so much to learn, right? You know, and like playing against people better than you, doing this stuff, like that's what makes you better, right? There was one time where I was back towards the baseline and he hit just an insane drop shot that drew me to the net. And as I was sprinting towards it, I remember him going, "Come on, get it!" Like encouraging me to get it, right? And like that memory right there, I didn't realize it at the time, but that formed like my entire like sportsmanship and competitiveness like approach. Like you can want to win and you can be competitive and you can still be enthusiastic about and supportive of someone else competing against you, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's totally right. Because I think when we go karting, like we're competitive with each other. But the worst is when one of us has a shit cart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like when you have a bad cart, it's almost more disappointing than when I have a bad cart.
I feel the same way. Yes. Yeah.
You know, because if I had a bad cart, then like, oh, I can still like have fun trying to get as much out of it as I can or whatever.
Right.
You know, or drift it around or whatever. But if you have a bad cart, that just means I'm by myself, you know, which is not as much fun.
Right. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that you're so competitive with yourself because it's a really, I don't know, it's a really interesting way to recognize like and base that stuff. Like, and it also makes me like, I feel like that there is an element of that within myself, which is why I've been more comfortable with kind of like solo based sports rather than team sports. Right. And you yourself, right? Like you've had more fun like doing solo car stuff than you've probably had playing soccer, right? Not to say you didn't enjoy soccer, right? But like, you know, like you were, you know, like both you and I, like when we were playing soccer, we were probably thinking about like just how we were doing with respect to ourselves, you know?
Yeah. Like I wouldn't care whether we won or lost the game. I would care whether I played well.
Right. Yeah. If you shut down like somebody's, you know, breakaway, like whatever, right? You know? Yeah. That's really interesting.
And, I mean, even with like running, when I was like in the military, and I was usually pretty close to the front for running stuff.
You're very fast. Yeah.
And the I wouldn't care who beat me. Right. I wanted to get a personal best. That was always my thing. Right?
Yeah.
If I could get a personal best, or I could be across this like I always had like a thing that, a time that I wanted to beat. And I would only care if I beat it or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like that with driving too. Like I think I always try to be like, my thing with the team aspect of it is I always want to be within, like, depending on the track and the car or whatever, like a couple seconds off of whoever the fastest driver is. Because I know it's not realistic usually for me to be like, I'm going to go to a track I don't know, or a car I don't know, or I'm racing with someone with like a shit ton of experience, like mental or something like that, and be faster than them. Like it's just not going to happen. Because I do this like twice a year.
Right. Yeah.
But if I could be within like a couple seconds of them consistently, then I'm like loses punch, right? So that's usually the goal that I try to set for myself.
Yes.
And then I get upset with myself if I'm not. If I have a hard time doing it. Right.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that I took away from the Taskmaster piece was that there are times to be like kind of focused competitively, right? Mm-hmm. And then there are times where the more important thing is just to like for everyone to have fun, right?
Right.
Like it is all a spectrum of like, you can choose these moments, you can choose the like how you perform. You don't want to compete with somebody that is holding back, and you don't want to hold back for someone else. But there are times when just like sportsmanship and competitiveness, like they take a back seat to kind of like larger things in the room at the moment. And I thought that was a really interesting example of that on Taskmaster. And I'm going to be very curious to see like how your kids react to it. No,
that's a good point. Yeah, I'm excited to show them that episode.
Yeah.
I will say the flip side of this discussion, which is a very healthy discussion about self-awareness and competitiveness and sportsmanship and everything, is what happened with the Formula One race today.
Okay.
Like, it's the complete opposite of what we're talking about.
Okay, yeah, I know nothing. I didn't watch the dots.
Okay. Oh, okay. So the dots are going to be especially boring this time. But one of the dots was owned by Max Verstappen, who noted little baby.
Yes.
And does not necessarily have a great relationship with sportsmanship in his conduct, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I'm just gonna preface this by saying I am not a Max fan. I think that he does things he under full control of his car decides to not make corners in order to ruin other people's races.
Yes. Yeah. Like there's an antagonistic driving style. Yeah.
Yes. Which I think is just like should not be acceptable.
Right.
Today, what happened was it was kind of a weird series of events that led up to him acting in his little bitch way. But that is what eventually happened.
Okay.
So what had happened was he got upset because him and Leclerc like touched on the straight.
Okay.
Or whatever. And it was mostly Max's fault anyway.
Okay.
And so he was already kind of in this like tantrumy mood. And then George Russell came up on him and they touched in the corner a bit. And that was George's fault. It was unquestionably George's fault.
Okay.
Because he was on the inside and had just gone in a little too hot and understeered.
Okay.
And so like he just like bumped into Max, and Max went off the track and stayed ahead of George.
Oh shit. Like he Gran Turismo'd him.
A little bit. Like not it was like there was no damage to either car.
Okay.
But then so Max is ahead. And I think I would agree that it was George's fault. Max probably could have stayed ahead and would have been fine. But Red Bull, out of an abundance of caution, because they had just gotten done with a safety car, so all the cars were bunched up. So a penalty at that point would have really hurt because all the cars were so close together.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Like instead of just losing a place, you would lose like 10 places or more.
Something like that. Right.
Okay.
So Red Bull gets on the radio and tells Max to give the place back, and Max gets really is more like foot stompy, about that.
Okay.
So he slows down to give George the place, but makes him go around the outside of this corner. And then once George gets ahead of him, he speeds up and runs into him.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No, not at all. Like deliberately runs into him.
Okay.
Meh.
Wow.
Which in my mind, like that should be a race ban.
Yeah.
That should be like an immediate disqualification, something like that.
Right.
They gave him a 10-second penalty, which I think dropped him down to like 10th place or something.
Okay.
But to me, like if you don't shut that sort of shit down, like immediately when it happens, then you're not a real sporting organization, right? Like that's the sort of thing. And I pointed that out on Blue Sky, like that would get you banned at every rental cart place I've ever been to.
Yes.
Right? Like hitting someone in retaliation.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the biggest thing you don't do.
That's usually like number one on the rules is like no retaliation.
Yeah.
Right?
You hitting someone under like getting into an accident under like safety car or yellow flag conditions.
Oh God.
Where you can hurt innocent people. That is like number one and closely followed.
Right.
Retaliating.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's an insane thing to let slide with just like a time penalty.
Yeah. You are correct.
I did see that a few hours later, they did say that I think they're going to give him extra points on his license. Like, so you get just like a normal driver's license, his FIA license has a certain number of points that you can have before you have to sit out races.
Okay.
And so they are taking extra points off of his license for that.
Okay. But
I feel like F1 should have more penalty for that sort of behavior. Right. Like,
right. If you want to consider yourself the top tier of the sport, right, you should be setting the example for the rest of the sport.
Yeah.
Right. Not have the most loosey-goosey structure. You should have the structure that inspires everyone else. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how not to do sportsmanship. Right. Wow. Yeah. Like, apologize to your brother. I'm sorry that you're a bitch. Right? Exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry you have such a punchable face. Yeah. Like, what the fuck, man? What's so funny about Max, too, is that, Jenny knows a lot about F1 just from me talking at her about it. Yeah. Being in the orbit. Drive to Survive with me and stuff like that. Yeah. So she knows about the infamous story about Jos Verstappen, Max's dad, like leaving him at the Italian, leaving him at the gas station for his mom to pick up when he lost a kart race. Oh, I didn't know about that. Holy shit. Jos Verstappen is a world-class, like, famous asshole. What? He did what? Max lost a kart race. Max lost a kart race, and Jos thought he did poorly. And so he, I don't know, threw a little fit and left him at this gas station in Italy and told his mom to come get him. Oh, I got a book here that's called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Yeah, I think Max needs a copy of that because now the problem is that he's also an emotionally immature parent. There you go. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So whenever I bring anything up that Max does, Jenny's like, well, he had a really hard childhood. And I'm like, he's like a 30-year-old man. Like, no. Right. We're past that point. Yes, we have the faculties to break cycles. Right. Yeah. Right. He is responsible for himself at some point. Yes. So wow. I never knew that. That is horrible. Oh, yeah. He's a dick. I would like to contrast that with something that my late father did. When I was a kid. So my dad grew up. He left you at a gas station in Austria. Yeah, exactly. Right. Noted to be better than Italian gas stations.
I was joking. Some of the best meals of my life have been at Italian gas stations.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, like that's a thing. Like because all the truck drivers, all the transport drivers, like you're supposed to get some of the best food of your life in Italian gas stations.
Yeah, the best sandwiches in the world.
Okay. Yeah, I do not doubt it. Yeah. So my dad grew up playing basketball, right? He loved basketball. He wanted me to play basketball when I think I was in middle school when all this was taking place. This is when I still was playing tennis, but he wanted me to pick up like another sport. And so he found a team for me to join, and like we had some practices and I wasn't doing well, and I'm shit at basketball. I'm a tall boy, but my vertical jump is like an inch. Like I just I'm horrible at basketball. And our first game, I remember my dad driving me home in the 88 Nissan pickup truck, right? From the YMCA. And he just looks over at me and he just goes, "What were you doing out there?" And I just remember being like, "I don't know. I don't like it. It makes sense. I don't know." And he was like, "Okay, you don't have to play basketball." And it was like, "Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh God."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Right? Where like he wasn't mad. He was genuinely curious as to like what his space cadet of a child was doing on the basketball court, Yeah. So, didn't get left at a gas station for that one, No. Yeah. Thankfully had a different upbringing. Yeah. So, wow. That is insane. That is insane that Max would do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, like that he wasn't just immediately pulled out of the race or disqualified is also kind of crazy.
Right? Yeah.
It's like, I think it's sort of like our current political climate where like the rules aren't built for just blatantly flouting them.
Right.
Like we don't have the faculties. We've assumed that people are going to be generally in one sort of terrible.
Right.
And we sort of have faculties to deal with that.
Right.
Those often come up short too. But when someone's just an absolute wild card,
right,
and it's just going to do what they want, we don't necessarily have the capability of dealing with that. And I think that's been a problem with Max in particular for several years. I mean, since he's started in F1, it's been a problem.
Right.
Where he's going to just decide. He's going to let you decide if you have an accident or not.
Right.
And they don't have a way of like dealing with that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then there are people that latch onto that mentality because they see that as like the disruptor, right. Yeah. The whole like driving the wrong way down the highway, and people being like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And other people like, "You're just mad you didn't think of it,"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they take the negative feedback as reinforcement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. As a sign that they are doing the right thing. Yeah. Wild. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Fucking Max. Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think that there are so many times where, like, I don't watch F1, but like, that if I had heard or you told me that like Lewis was fucking crushing him in a Ferrari, I would be so happy, Yeah. Yeah. Because ultimately you don't want that antagonistic method to come out on top. Right. And that's one of the things that is like, it's so hard to deal with in our lives, sportsmanship, otherwise, where it's like, it's like I'm holding myself to the standard of the rules, and I'm not going to cheat other than photoshopping a transmission receipt from U-Pull for the Lemons team, right? Right. I'm not going to like truly be a dick about it, right? And I'm not going to go out of my way to like really like potentially harm somebody with, how I'm operating in this like competitive, environment. But man, yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that's so frustrating with Max in particular is that it's not his ruthlessness. I mean, his ruthlessness has has got him ahead
Sure.
in some notable times, 2021.
Right.
But it's not the only tool in his toolbox, right? Like he's clearly such a gifted driver,
Right.
and has like the craziest car control of anyone on the grid, probably.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be this way. You know, he would still be winning, especially the last couple of years. He would still be winning without that. And you know, there have been long stretches where he hasn't had to be that way, and he's honestly a joy to watch when it's like that.
Right.
When he's not put in that situation.
Yeah.
But like the tiniest bit of adversity comes his way, and he has to resort to being just an absolute dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah. There's absolutely like a knee-jerk psychological response to like a stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like people's first instincts, like,
yeah,
right, yeah, like that,
which are often very telling,
right?
Yeah,
right, yeah. It is an indication of lack of emotional regulation. I know that 100%. From tons of therapy, you know, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can hear it in his voice in the car, and you can. I mean, honestly, you can see a change. You know, we talked. I remember talking with Mental about this. That you can see. You know, I feel like you can really tell, like just from the positioning of the car and the way that it moves and stuff like that. Especially when you're on a racetrack, like you can almost like intuit someone's mood.
Sure.
By just seeing that the way that, especially if you're watching them lap after lap, like a change in the way that they move the car. I remember saying that to Mental because we were in Oklahoma at Hallett, and I was watching him take this sequence of corners during his stint. And at one point, there was this one car that he was sort of nearby during his stint, kind of the whole time.
Okay.
And they tried to pull a maneuver on him that was like, you know, it was a little borderline. And you could just see a change in the attitude in the car Mental was driving, where you could just see him stiff arming and be like not today.
Right.
Like we're not doing this. Right.
Yes. I was just driving. Now I'm doing this.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Yes.
I was minding my own business. Now you are my business. You know?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And you can see it in the way that his car, just the way he positions it, the way he starts moving it, that he's driving angry, and he still has amazing car control. So like he'll put himself in these situations where he is out of control.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you design a rule set around that.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. When someone else is like, I'm showing up and I'm the problem. It's which is now your problem.
You deal with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
My dad was mean to me. Your problem.
Forever ago, I was with my buddy Jason and his husband Jim. We were at an ice cream place in Lawrence, Kansas, and Jason got this. I'm pretty sure we were in Kansas. Maybe it was when they were visiting Denver. I can't remember. But Jason got this like giant like milkshake, like ice cream, you know, proper milkshake. And the guy handed it to him over the counter, and it was already running down the sides. Like the whipped cream was like there was clearly way too much shit in the cup, and like and the guy handed it to him, and Jason just took it. And he's like standing there and like, we're all grabbing napkins. And Jason was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, you have nothing to be sorry over. He did not hand you a milkshake. He handed you a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Here you go. Tasty problem for you. Yeah. Yeah. So I would implore folks listening or watching, if you have a moment that like kind of helped form your sportsmanship, your, you know, competitiveness, like how you view those kinds of things, whether they're about cars or not, I'd love to hear in the comments, or send us a voicemail, 720-515-1391. It's something that like Peta and I really connected over talking about it when we, you know, talked about that kind of stuff. And And we both of us would love to hear something, if anybody out there has resonant moments like that, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice, bud. Okay. Well,
I see here you have an FMK Cars.
I do, Ian. I do. I made you an FMK Cars because my wife and I have been going back through Parks and Recreation.
Oh,
the TV show. Yeah. So she never made it through season 1 before. And so for anybody who hasn't watched Parks and Recreation, tell people what they need to do, Ian, to enjoy the show.
I mean, you need to make it through season 1 because season 1 is a little rocky.
It's not good. Rocky. It's not good.
Yeah.
And honestly, the first 4 or 5 episodes of season 2, still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it does. I mean, it's a great show.
It's a fantastic show. Yeah. Yeah. And it really hits its stride. I think season 2, episode 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you really get a feeling that these characters care about things and each other. And I
think, and that's because Adam Scott joins late, right?
He does.
And I think that was a big part of it too.
Yes.
And joining the cast, he's a big part of it.
Absolutely. Adam Scott, Rob Lowe brought a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love Adam Scott. He's so great. Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what your FMK Cars,
Ian,
based on Parks and Rec, or inspired by Parks and Rec.
Yes, absolutely. Ian, these are all vehicles in Parks and Rec. Okay.
Oh.
And they come with a twist.
Okay.
All
right. FMK Cars is a game that we have historically played on this show. It is based on the classic game of Fuck, Marry, Kill, except we play it with cars instead of people because we're nice. F means you drive it for a day. M means you marry it. It's your new daily driver. And K means you're killing it. It goes to the crusher.
Yep. That's right. Okay. And Ian, since these are all cars that are in the show, the first one I'm going to give you, Ian, is a 2009 Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is Donna's car?
Yep. It is an ML 550 AMG.
Is that what she has?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? Yeah, go Donna.
I didn't know she had a AMG.
Yep.
Man, that town in Indiana really pays well.
It does. It does. Yeah, I looked all these up on the car media resources. Yeah. Okay. So you have that now, Ian, with your Mercedes-Benz. Once a month, you are taken on an extravagant spending spree. Treat yourself.
Okay.
I
mean, that sounds great. I can fit a lot of records in the back of that thing.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Ian, this is going to dovetail into what we were talking about before, but for now, we're going to talk about one other car, a 2001 Buick Park Avenue.
This is Ron Swanson's car.
Ultra.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect car for Ron Swanson.
It is the perfect car for Ron Swanson.
In maroon, of course. Right? Yeah. Okay. Ian, with this car, people at work will leave you the fuck alone. You essentially have an April. Okay.
Oh.
And you only have to have meetings on one day every year.
Well, this sounds pretty fantastic. Okay. All right.
It had to be really good to lure you away from records.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, last, Ian, is a 2009 Volkswagen Tiguan. Okay.
Who has that?
Adam Scott, Ben Wyatt.
Oh, okay.
Has that in the show. There's an episode where he and April are stuck in a parking garage. Okay. And he's in a Tiguan for it.
Okay.
You will have master/maker level knowledge of any board game you play. You will have truly that tome of knowledge, the cones of Dunshire, if you will.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I think I have my answer.
Okay.
I will say, none of these cars are especially appealing to me on their own.
Right. Which is why it's a twist.
Right. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to kill the Volkswagen Tiguan.
Okay.
And this kind of goes back to our previous discussion.
Right.
Where, like, when you have a bad cart, it's not fun for me.
Okay.
Because if it's already a struggle with, a family and a group of friends who all have their very different skill sets to find a board game that's competitive for everybody.
Correct.
But if I'm just like at a different level with the board game, that's not fun.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to just dominate the board. I want to be challenged in the board game. I want to win.
Right.
But I want someone to give me a run for my money.
You're not acting out a power fantasy.
Right. I want you to have the fastest cart, but I'm a 10th faster.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Like that is your dream scenario, right?
Yes. But this is, you have a cart with a flat tire and I'm going to win.
Right.
That's not as much fun.
Yes.
So I'm killing that.
Okay.
I'm going to marry the Mercedes.
Okay.
And the once a month.
Okay. Spending spree. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I am going to take full advantage of having an April once.
For a day.
Okay. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay. And you would never have to do any maintenance on that Park Avenue if you were to marry it. Ever.
I know. Right? It'll survive the apocalypse.
Oh,
I will be miserable through the apocalypse in that goddamn car.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Okay. I think you made the right choice. Yeah. I think
is that what you would do, or would you?
That is exactly what I would do.
So I thought maybe you would flip my F&Ms.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that I thought you would go with the work thing. Right. Yeah. And if I did work and family,
right.
But it turns out you actually enjoy your family. So, because I had like a whole scenario where you'd be able to go off the grid anytime you wanted or anything like that. But then it's like, but Ian also loves the people around him. So, yeah. So there's that, you don't want to truly like be solo, there's times, but
there are times.
There are times.
Times plural.
Yes. Like when we would record in person, and the first thing you would do was just quietly poop in my bathroom and just have a little time for yourself.
Just a minute.
Yep.
Just a minute, man.
Yeah. Remember when I set up LED candles and music for you when you came over?
I do remember that. That was great.
Yeah. So there
was a run there. There was a run there of like a couple of years where I didn't have a single poop in my house without somebody knocking on the door, or just barging in.
I cannot imagine that. I cannot imagine that. That's why
it's gotten better. It's gotten better as they go.
I'm sure. Yeah, you've just been eating.
I still answer more questions than is ideal through a closed bathroom door.
Right. Yeah, you just need to start eating way worse to make it an absolute toxic environment.
Yeah. Have a little fan just blowing underneath the door.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. There you go. And it is now their problem.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, Ian, I see that you have a couple things here. There is a state and car shout out.
Yes.
And you have an album of the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So over the Memorial Day weekend, I took Nico, my as of tomorrow, 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Backpacking. And we did like a 2-day backpacking trip, and we went to northern New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And we were in Carson National Forest. It was absolutely delightful. After we left the trailhead, we saw maybe 6 people all weekend. And it was this gorgeous, trail up to a lake. We went up to Heart Lake.
Okay.
So that'll be in this all trails thing definitely.
Okay.
But yeah, that is that is representative of the terrain that we were.
Wow.
It was
Okay.
absolutely stunning. It was a hard hike, but the kid, like, it was him, his friend from preschool, actually, he was still friends with.
Oh wow. Okay.
And his dad and myself, and everybody did great. They brought their dog along. I did get to rescue the dog from a potential porcupine encounter.
Oh, nice save.
The dog had like locked in on something, and
Uh-huh.
it was doing great. Like whenever it was a squirrel or something like that, James, the guy I was with, would call the dog back.
Okay.
And it was like doing great. But this time it was locked in. It was like,
Okay.
it saw something and it was into it. And so I was the first one to kind of like get to it and be like, what am I seeing? And I looked and I saw, it was through the trees. And I'm
Yeah.
probably like, 40 yards from the dog down the trail. And I'm, there's like a triangle between whatever it's looking at and me and the dog. And at first I saw like a small, like brown, just small and brown moving near the ground. And I was like,
Sure.
oh no, bear cub was my
Oh,
first
fuck. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And at that point I was like, well, I just got to like hang back if it's a bear cub, because I'm not going to go
Right.
find mama bear without I
Right.
don't see. And then it moved a little bit and I could see clear as day. It was a porcupine. It was like a big porcupine, which I've seen porcupines in the wild before, but never on the ground.
I've never seen them in the wild. Wow.
I've seen them a handful of times, and they're really cool to see. They're cool animals.
Yeah.
But the dog then takes off
Oh.
because the porcupine started running.
Yeah.
Waddling. Because they're not fast.
Right.
And so I just ran to where the porcupine was.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just made myself a little interception course.
Uh-huh.
And I scared the shit out of that dog.
Okay.
I broke a dead branch.
Okay.
I crashed through a dead tree basically with like a full pack on.
Yeah.
And the dog, that was the first she saw me like running towards her.
Sure.
And she was in a full sprint and then jumped backwards.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, great.
Right.
Because I don't want to spend the next 4 hours of my life removing quills.
Oh my God. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is not good. I know people that have had that happen to their dog, and it is rough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would not have gone well.
Yeah. Nice save, dude. Good instincts to run towards the porcupine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there was no way I would have caught the dog, right?
Right.
I was like, I'm going to run to the porcupine. Anyway, so great backpacking trip. New Mexico is amazing.
Okay.
Never spent time in like northern New Mexico. It's absolutely gorgeous. But also we drove there in my buddy's XC90, Volvo XC90.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And every time I'm in one of those, I'm like, oh yeah, these things are great.
Okay.
Because we had to go up to get to the trailhead. It was a really rough road.
Okay.
It was like borderline Jeep trail sort of thing, where like big rocks, and you had to pick his line. And man, that car it was so comfortable. It's got the most comfortable seats, I think, of any car that I've ever been in. And it just handled it,
That's amazing.
Didn't put a foot wrong, just amazing. And he's had that car, he's got nearly 100,000 miles on it, and it just felt great.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. XC90s, they're nice.
Okay. Nice, dude.
That's it. Just a shout out to the car and the state of New Mexico.
You hear that, New Mexico?
Yeah.
Ian likes you. You hear that, Volvo? Yeah. Ian likes your big SUV.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. That sounds like a great trip.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Nice. It's cool how like a car can add to the experience of the trip. It can make it or break it, right? Mm-hmm. We're very familiar with both scenarios, right?
Yep. Yeah, and we didn't know exactly what we were going to find there, so we had like car camping stuff and backpacking stuff, and we had 2 kids and a dog, and like it just took all of it, got us there in great comfort.
Nice.
And then handled the rough road and everything. So it was awesome.
That's sweet, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Okay.
Yeah. That's all I got on that.
Okay.
Should we wrap it up with an album of the week?
Yeah, we definitely want to hear your album of the week, Ian.
Okay. So this is one I'm not sure.
I love it when you get
gotta,
uneasy about this. Yeah.
You got to stay with me on this one, Dave.
Sure.
I don't know if you're going to enjoy this one that much, but this is the new album by Car Seat Headrest.
Okay. Right.
And I think I talked about Car Seat Headrest like back in the early days of the show. I remember talking about this band.
Yes.
But the new one is called The Scholars.
Okay.
They had a few years off between albums. And this one is like, it's a pretty epic thing. So it's only 9 tracks, but it's an hour and 10 minutes. So
God
like one of the longest track is 19 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's not like locked into a groove for 19 minutes.
Right.
It's like got several sections. So it feels like lots of different songs. So it's not like yes. Yeah, and there's like very different sections of it too. So it's not like the same thing over and over again. I would say if you're going to listen to one song, I've been obsessed with it. It was the single off of it. It's Gethsemane.
Oh, Gethsemane. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one. Gethsemane.
Yeah.
It's a long song, but man, it is phenomenal. It's so good. There's like a bunch of different hooks in it. It's really, really good.
Okay.
This is like one of my favorite albums of theirs, and he's very prolific. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I was first exposed to Car Seat Headrest when we were in the Nissan Quest minivan on the way back from Road America. Right. That is when that first happened.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was when their like breakthrough album came out. I was around that time. So that makes sense.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, links to their Bandcamp, Apple Music, and Spotify will be in the YouTube description for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, I listened to it the first time. I was like, well, it's not bad. It's good. And then I've been coming back to it over and over and over again over the last few weeks.
Okay.
So it's really grown on me.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Nice. I love that. Right on. Okay.
Did we do a car show?
We did. We talked a lot about like wholesome car things. Yeah.
And also, how Risk is a bad game for being nice to each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. Remember when like that Wii game, the new Super Mario Brothers came out where like people could play Mario Brothers at the same time? Like that game had a big reputation for like ruining friendships or relationships. Yeah. Yeah. Risk has definitely been there for sure. That, and it seems like people lose their shit over categories way more than they should.
Well, Monopoly is the classic one, right?
Yeah. If you're gonna flip a table, yeah. Right. Okay. Well, yeah, absolutely. And if you have an experience that you hold dear about sportsmanship and competitiveness, please share it with us because we would absolutely love to hear it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Dave, I think people should call and text us 720-515-1391, apexadjacent at Gmail. And other than that, thank you. We love you. Goodbye.